Do you ever feel like there's just not enough time in the day to balance work, family, friends, school, and sometimes try to throw some gaming sessions in the middle of all that? Trust me, I'm right there with you. But don't worry, because today I'm going to share with you 5 awesome tips to help you level up without burning out. And to make it fun, we're going to add a little challenge to it. For every tip that I share about trying to balance all this together, I'm going to try to balance something ridiculous on my head. Because here at the Academy of Productive Gamers, we don't just talk about it, we do it. Let's go. Hi, nice to meet you. My name's Nate, the Gaming Advisor. I help gamers and professionals crush their goals while making time for what they love most. If you like content like this, you're definitely going to want to check out my weekly live streams on Twitch, where we talk about college advice, career success strategies, all while gaming and having fun at the same time. I also share a ton of tips like this on my website and blog, so make sure you're visiting thegamingadvisor.wordpress.com after this, or checking the link in the description below for more details on other resources, like my free resume guide that's coming out pretty soon. Last thing before we get into it. Today's video is inspired by the Respawn Recruits Challenge, where we are in the top 250 of the competition, y'all. Week 2's challenge is to try something new. Ultimately, I've only ever done short form 1-minute bursts of info, as well as my live streaming content. This is my very first long form content. So trying it, seeing how it goes, ultimately knowing that this is the future of the Gaming Advisor and the Academy of Productive Gamers. So shout out to Respawn Recruits Challenge for giving me the motivation to actually get this first video in the books. All right, now that we know what to expect, let's go ahead and get into tip number 1, which is going to be a very big foundation to set up the success for all the other tips. So in order to help visualize how big of a foundation tip number 1 is, we're going to use this big old book. Okay. Oh, okay, we got it. And so tip number 1 is prioritizing your task. Okay. Tip number 1, prioritizing your tasks and needs. So there's a lot of resources, a lot of apps, a lot of tools, a lot of websites to get this prioritization done. But one of the best tools that I end up using is what's called the Eisenhower matrix. Man, I want to move my head so much, but I know the book is going to come crashing down on me. And so with the Eisenhower matrix, you have 2 rows, important, not important, and then 2 columns, urgent, not urgent. And so within that matrix, we find things that are important and urgent. Those are things that we need to get done yesterday. We have things that are important but not urgent. So those are things that we want to schedule out because we know that we care about those things. We just don't have the time for them right now. Then there's things that are not important but urgent. If possible, we'll try to delegate those things to either coworkers, colleagues, or ask a friend or a family member for help. Then we have things that are not important and not urgent. Those things are time wasters, and we want to make sure we are eliminating as many time wasters as we can. All right, now we're moving on to tip number 2. Now that we've prioritized all of our tasks and duties, it's time to schedule it out. In order to represent the schedule, we're going to use a clock. And so, okay, before go ahead and start talking, let's get this up here. Oh gosh, this doesn't feel stable at all. But we have a strong foundation, right? Okay, it's working. Okay, so scheduling. The best way to knock out scheduling is to take a look at your actual whole week, Monday through Sunday. Block out the times that you know you're going to be working. Sleeping is important. Eating is also very important. Make sure you're taking time for that. On top of that, you're also scheduling out time for friends, family, all of those priorities that you set up in the Eisenhower matrix. From what we got out of the Eisenhower matrix, we have our most urgent and our most important tasks that we're going to work on first. Now that we know exactly what we're going to work on, we're going to use a time management strategy called the Pomodoro method. So the Pomodoro method is actually when you get a timer, schedule out just one thing that you're going to work on, and you're going to get 25 minutes worth of work. Once that 25-minute timer goes up, take a 5-minute break. After that, repeat the cycle 3 times. On that third break, instead of taking a 5-minute, take a 30-minute break. And repeat that overall strategy until you're knocking out one task at a time and ultimately maintaining that balance. So now that we've prioritized our tasks, we scheduled out when we're going to get it done, now it's time to move on to tip number 3, setting boundaries. In order to visualize this boundary, we're going to use this masking tape. As you can see, it is an actual boundary with our well-being and time in the middle of all of that. We're going to go ahead and balance that up here. Yeah! All right. I don't know about you, but setting boundaries is one of the hardest things for me to do. I always want to help people, and saying no makes it feel like I am not helpful. But at the same time, I have to protect my well-being and my time, and you have to do the same. So understanding when to say no, or when to say maybe next time. You know, that late night gaming session when you know you have a really important presentation in the next morning, or you have that urgent, important task that you know is due very, very soon. That late night gaming session, as fun as it's gonna be, can wait until the next time. Games will always be there. Cross your fingers, hopefully on that. But that important, urgent task could have dire ramifications if we do not complete it in time. So make sure you are setting that boundary and sticking to it. If you communicate this to your friends, your colleagues, they'll respect that. You know, at the end of the day, if they don't, that's something that they're gonna have to figure out. We already laid it out there, what the expectations are. If they try to change it up anytime after that, maybe they're not as good of a friend or a colleague as you thought they were. So just keep an eye out when you're setting out those boundaries. Like I said, this is the toughest part of the process, but it is super, super important and super necessary. So now we're moving on to tip number 4. We've prioritized all of our needs, started scheduling when we're going to knock out those important tasks, laid up those barriers with our friends and letting them know what we're working on before we can get to gaming. But ultimately, we are knocking goals out. So what we're going to do to reward ourselves is game. So using gaming as a reward is tip number 4. And to represent that, I have my nice controller, which I really hope I don't drop. So we're gonna go ahead and balance this up there as we can talk about how scheduling out that time frame would look like. Okay, we got it. And so like I mentioned, nothing feels sweeter than gaming without any worries on your mind other than the opponent and driving them into the ground. Yes, and so when we are gaming with one of those ideas that we don't have anything to worry about, it makes the gaming so much more sweeter. And so knock out all of those tasks, prioritize all of those needs, but ultimately understanding that gaming is your reward at the end of all of your labor. This is as much as I'm comfortable talking on tip number 4, so I can take off my controller and we can move on. Tip number 5. Now this tip is the most important tip of all of them. Take care of yourself. All of these tips, all of these tricks, ultimate goal is so that you can take it easy. Because at the end of the day, even pro gamers gotta relax every now and then. So find that time, knock out those goals, ultimately find that balance. When you find that balance, you'll realize it's not that hard. As you can see, it's not easy balancing it all at once, but that's why we just take it one task at a time, one objective at a time, and then we will get there. But just like I promised with my challenge, 5 tips, 5 things that I'm going to try to balance on my head. I dropped it all at number 4, but we're going to go ahead and try to get it back up so we can get on to number 5. First off is just trying to get this all back up there again. Okay. Feel it wobbling. Need utter silence from the crowd for complete concentration, ultimate skill. Oh my God, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to. Oh geez, I don't think I'm gonna be able to get this fifth thing I said I was gonna put on top of my head. Okay. So I'm gonna kind of anchor this video. Oh no, I got it right here. Put it within arm's reach. Oh my God, this is dangerous. To represent taking care of yourself, I'm gonna use this 5-pound weight. We're gonna see if I can finagle this on here without dropping everything. Also, while not. Oh, assistant, help. Okay, try to balance with the help of my wife. She will go ahead and gently place things back. See, this is when you delegate, you need help, you get it. Sometimes it's impossible to do things all by yourself. So now we are balanced and we're gonna let it challenge complete. If you're liking what you're seeing, like and subscribe. Be sure to follow me and check out my future videos. Woo! Okay. Hold on, wait. Okay. There's things that are important, but not. Wait. Well, now that we've prioritized everything with the Eisenhower matrix. Okay. Urgent. Important, not important. Urgent, not urgent. I think I'm getting this right. Balancing gaming as a sense of